Welcome back to Great Northern Cascade Division in N-Scale. My name's Ian, and in this video I'm going to look at replacing metal wheel sets on a whole bunch of different box cars that I have. So here at the layout of the last few videos, I've talked about how I've slowly been going through this process on a lot of the freight cars that I have and swapping out the wheel sets on them. And so I run Atlas Code 55 track, and so especially with that Code 55 track, because the rail is a fairly low profile, if you have slightly larger plastic chunky wheels, pizza cutter kind of wheels on older box cars, then the wheels kind of bump along all the different rail ties, and it adds a lot of drag, it adds a lot of noise, and it's really easy to derail as well. So just in general, even if you aren't running Code 55 track, what you'll typically find is by switching out to some kind of metal wheels, they'll just run a lot smoother. It then reduces that friction, that drag on the train as you're going around the layout. So if you do have slightly tight curves, if you're going up a helix, if you only have one or two locos pulling a large train, basically you're just reducing that friction, reducing that drag. Or if you want to do things like put lights or sound modules inside cars, passenger cars, things like that, then you have metal wheels that you can have some kind of pickup on to get power inside the car. So we're going to have a quick look at how you can go through and replace them. I'm using Eastern Seaboard Model wheels, but there's a bunch of different manufacturers that you can use. I just know that these 0.50 inch diameter wheels, or the axle length rather, will be a straight swap in for those microtrans trucks, and it's really quick. I can do a whole car in about a minute, something like that, and then it runs so much smoother. So let's go and have a look at how we can go ahead and replace these. Alright, so these are the cars that I am mostly dealing with. They are just straight microtrans box cars, slightly older ones, but I pick up these at train shows an awful lot. So this is, listed at $10, and so I'll often, go to a train show and I'll find someone that has a whole bunch of different cars in the $8, $10, $12 range, stuff like that. And usually if you're buying in bulk, I often will get 10, 15, 20 of these. You can get a little bit of a decent deal on them. So pretty much all the freight cars that I have on my layout, I probably haven't spent more than $8 to $10 on them. And they're in really good condition most of the time. These haven't been used, they've been kept in boxes, and what I look for is to make sure that they do have these microtrans couplers on them. I'm leaving the trip pins on them for now, although it's quite possible that I'll pull them off at some point in the future. I'm not really looking at having magnetic decoupling and stuff like that. But the main thing is to make sure that they do have those trucks on, especially with Atlas ones. They often have just like the hook couplers, a bunch of different couplers that you can get. The main one that I look for is to make sure that they do have these microtrans couplers on them. That then makes it a whole lot easier. And the problem that we have really is the wheels themselves. So it's a little bit hard to see just because it's all brand new, black and shiny, but these are more what's called pizza cutter wheels. And so the flange on them is actually pretty big. And so if it's on code 80 tracks, not too bad. This is on code 100 track, if I can try and get it on whilst looking back behind the camera as well. And so what we find is that it will go on, but I can certainly feel it on, I don't know how well you can hear if I shut up. As it rolls, the wheels are bumping across all of those different rail ties. So you can run them like this. It will run around, but it adds a whole lot of drag and a whole lot of friction onto the train itself. And so what we can do is these wheels are just kind of pushed in place and held in place, and so we can just swap these wheels out. So these are the wheels that I have been going around and replacing pretty much all my freight cars with Eastern Seaboard Models, 33-inch metal wheels, and the 0.540 axle length is perfect for these microtrans trucks. They do also do, I think it's the 0.537, and maybe they make a 0.543, but I think the 0.537 is a little bit shorter, and I think that works well on in the mountain maybe, and I think they have a slightly longer one that works better on Atlas as well. There are different manufacturers available. Fox Valley Models makes some, In the Mountain makes some, but just check the axle length because there are differences between the different trucks. So I know that for the microtrans trucks, these 0.54 axle length is what works well, and it would be prototypically 33-inch wheel sets. So at least for the Microtrans ones. These are ones that you're going to use. I buy them in these packs of 60. You can buy them in packs of a dozen. And for each car, you're going to be needing 4 wheels. So just as you figure out calculations, how big of a pack you're going to get, you're going to need 4 for each car that you're doing. If it's a Ferret car, maybe you need 6, depending on what it is you're doing. But for the most part, passenger cars, Ferret cars, you're going to want to have 4 wheels. I also took the time just to double check my work and make sure I could see it properly, but we got it back on the test track now, and so now when we roll it, it pretty much rolls right off the end of the track. There's no bumping on those rail heads at all, the rail ties as it goes through, and so that's kind of what we're wanting. It runs a whole lot smoother now, reduces all that friction on the train by the time you would get 20, 25, 30 or more of these all lashed up together. Price-wise, it does add up. That's one of the reasons why I look for trucks that have already got the Microtrans couplers on them, Microtrans trucks and things like that, if I'm buying Atlas cars and stuff like that, because I think a pack of 60 is about $55 US, so by the time you put in tax and shipping, each one of these wheel sets is about $1. So it is $4 per car by the time you add it up, but I figure, okay, I spend $8 to $10 on the car itself, and then I'm putting $4 into wheels. I'm still only in for about $12, $14 maybe. Now, most of the Microtrans trucks that have come out in the last number of years, probably Kato, Rolling Stock, Intermountain, most of the big manufacturers, if stocks come out within the last few years, 5, 8, 10 years even, it probably already has these low profile wheels, no problem. But if it is older, I kind of find 2010 is kind of about the cutoff. Maybe it's even more recent than that. Then it will often just have these cheaper plastic wheels, aren't low profile wheels, more pizza cutter wheels. It just looks visually wrong, and so they're going to catch. So I would say, if you're not having problems with rolling stock, if you're not having a whole bunch of friction, it's probably not that big of a deal. But especially if you're running code 55 track, if you do have those kind of wheels, or if you've just got older cars, then even if you're running code 80 but there's a little bit of friction to them, swapping out for the metal wheel sets will make a big difference. Makes it a little bit easier on the locomotive, not quite as much strain. So I've got a whole bunch more of these cars to do, and then let's throw them on a layout and see what it looks like with 20 car trying of these. One thing that you might find, because I know someone will say it down in the comments, is that some Microtrans, and I've really only seen it in Microtrans, some Microtrans cars will come with the kind of more chunky pizza cutter wheels on them, but in the bottom of the box it will also have some low profile plastic wheels. This seems to be just some of the more modern Microtrans, and by modern I mean the kind of early 2010s where they still came with the chunky wheels, but they then had low profile wheels that came with them. So in this instance I am just going to put these plastic low profile wheels on them. I'm not going to bother spending basically $4 to put the metal wheels on them. I am okay if the majority of the train has those metal wheels on and there's just 1 or 2 cars that has these plastic wheels. It does save a few dollars by doing that. I do actually have another one here that had those low profile plastic wheels too. So if you are lucking out and you do get some of those cheaper cars, and have those wheels in them, then great, go ahead and use them as well. So here is SPNS 509 starting to pull that train over what will become in the future the Salmon Bay Bridge, but this is now a 20-car train of those mixed SPNS, freight cars, box cars, flat cars. And so there's a couple of those flat cars that had those low-profile Microtrans wheels. There was also a Microtrans caboose on the end, so that managed to get those metal wheel sets put on them as well. Everything runs super duper smoothly now, super quiet. Any road noises just from the foam itself that it's running over. Runs a whole lot better than it did when it was those plastic wheels, especially as it goes through turnouts and stuff like that. So it's a little bit boring and mind-numbing to replace those wheel sets, but I think that it works out really well. And you know, if you're buying modern rolling stock that ends up being $25, $30 some at a time, you really shouldn't have to do this. It almost certainly is going to have those low profile wheel sets on them, probably metal wheel sets on them, and so it really shouldn't be that big of a deal for you. But if you're like me and you kind of want to hunt out bargains because you kind of have a whole lot of long trains that you want to start putting together, and you root around in the bargain bins or you check out train shows and try and find those $8, $10, $12 deals on freight cars, then replacing the wheel sets is the way to go. Why have I picked on SPNS? Well, because pretty much all the Great Northern rolling stock that I have is done. Here's another 20-car freight train that's parked up. We came through into Bay Yard. There was another 20-car freight train that was parked up. Here's another 10-car freight train, 20-car freight train. So pretty much all the Great Northern rolling stock is done, which is why I've moved on to SPNS, making its way down what will become the Puget Sound. The water will be cut in here, the bluffs will be on the back, and making its way down over towards Everett and Snohomish. So hopefully this one has been useful. A bunch of different places that you can get these metal wheel sets from. You don't have to use the Eastern Seaboard wheels, but that's what I found works pretty well, thanks to my friend Keith Lyons for giving me the initial suggestion on those wheel sets. And also thanks to Mike Pfeiffer from Pfeiffer Hobby Supplies for having these in stock every time that I've wanted them. Eastern Seaboard model wheel sets are not super easy to find, and just in general metal wheel sets from Intermountain and Fox Valley models haven't been super easy to find at times, but Mike has always had these in stock when I've wanted them. I've ordered 3 or 4 times from him, and well on my way now to having pretty much all my rolling stock done. So check out some other videos that we have on the channel, as well as I've been making some progress. Like I said, it's a triple deck layout. We've got the upper deck, middle deck all done in terms of the bench work. We also come all the way around here past more locomotives that are parked up. We've got the helix that gets you between the upper deck and the middle deck, and then recently I have been working on starting to get the approaches laid out for getting between the middle deck and the lower deck, so we can start work on the helix now. So thanks for watching and following along. I'll keep coming up with some more update videos soon, and have fun if you end up replacing metal wheel sets on some of your own rolling stock.